Hi YouTube, welcome back. We are here at another project that we just completed. This project is about 1/10 of the size of the Greenshire project that we just recently showed you. So I'm going to show you how you can still make a small space really beautiful. This is your typical one-bedroom apartment in Toronto. There was nothing special about it. It had the builder grade basics. It had a tiny kitchen. It had absolutely no storage. And it even had a bathroom with a tub that just felt so dysfunctional. When my client hired me, they wanted a very specific, sophisticated, yet elevated mood when it came to something that had more of a masculine energy to it, but wasn't too intense. Because the space is really small, we wanted to be extremely mindful of the colors and also the textures that we brought into the space to still give it that sophisticated, elevated look while not feeling like it looks like a cave. I'm gonna take you through the kitchen because this is honestly the heart of every home. It is one of my personal favorite things to design in any renovation, and I'm gonna show you that you can really make a small space beautiful even on a budget. In the original layout of this kitchen, it had a huge gap above here that was shared with the bedroom that served absolutely no purpose. Because this unit is so narrow, there is very little light that comes in from the living room space that comes into the kitchen. And with the original opening that was up here, I believe that they wanted to have light coming to the bedroom. There's no light getting to the bedroom from that. So what we did is we actually extended all the cabinets all the way up to the ceiling to give you all that additional space that you lost from before. With the size of this kitchen as well, if you are a person that actually likes to cook and entertain, this served no purpose. So what we did is we extended an additional 20 inches, which allowed for seating on the other side, also additional storage underneath. In the existing design, they had a bulkhead that came out twice this depth, which made all of this space completely unutilized and it very tight for you to access the kitchen. I know it's tight right now, but before you could barely open the single swing door that was existing. So what we did is we actually removed part of this bulkhead because there are plumbing stacks behind here, so we couldn't get rid of it completely. And to give you even more storage, we actually added a bifold door here to still have access from both sides of the island while still serving a greater function. You all know how much I hate a microwave above the oven. And because that is standard in every builder grade, I wanted to make this kitchen still feel like a showroom kitchen, but also serve a function. So what we did is we actually installed a microwave drawer in the island itself so it's out of sight while still, once again, serving a greater function. Condos are also notorious for not having a decent size sink. They have ones that are usually like 16 inches that you can put a few plates and one pot in before it actually overfills. So what we did is we actually extended the size of this sink to a full 30 inch. So if you are doing dishes or entertaining, you can actually have all of these items in the sink without feeling like it's overflowing. We also installed a new dishwasher. We didn't do a panel ready because budget constraints were quite tight. But the great part of this is when you first come in, this isn't going to be the first thing that you see. We created this waterfall edge with the stone that carries up the backsplash all the way on top and waterfalls down the side. Now, this was a really big challenge because the size of the slabs we were working with. The great thing about this stone is that it is actually a printed quartz, which is super durable. And the great thing about it is that they come in the same manufactured prints and styles. The downside with a waterfall edge is that you want that continuous motion all the way down. So what we did is we actually reversed another slab to continue the same striations all the way down. So we actually have that true waterfall look on both edges, which is usually really challenging. And I saw all of the hateful comments about the previous kitchen and the printed on quartz. Now hear me out. You know how much I love a natural stone. At the end of the day, it is always up to the client and their desires and wishes. So if they don't want a natural stone, if it doesn't work with their lifestyle, I'm not gonna recommend it. It's always gonna be my priority to showcase the beauty of a natural stone. But at the end of the day, you're designing for a client that lives in the space. I'm not living there, they are, and the point of them is to make them happy, to not only enjoy the space, but also make sure it functions to their lifestyle and needs. So if you don't like it, off. Just kidding, I actually love you guys. We're just making a joke here. One of my favorite things to do, especially in a small kitchen, is use a dual tone, which I know is very contrary to popular belief because a lot of people like to have that same finish throughout the entire kitchen. When you're including an actual wood finish, if you do a full kitchen in a very small footprint, it's extremely overwhelming. So what we did is we actually did all of the uppers above the gas range, all the way up to the ceiling to match the exact same paint for the full perimeter into into the living room and the rest of the kitchen. This is a really great hack to visually break up the space so it doesn't feel super dark and super overwhelming. Like I said before, this is a really small kitchen that doesn't get a lot of natural light. So having this dual tone like here, from a distance, you can actually see it blend into the environment. If you were to do all of these uppers in the same walnut finish, it's going to appear very heavy and very dark. And that's the last thing you want, especially in a small kitchen. When it comes to lighting, especially in a kitchen, it can be really challenging in a small space. You want it to still feel inviting, you want it to feel cozy, you want it to feel intimate, but you also need that level of tasks that you would need to prepare and cook your meals. What I like to do is bring in additional low-level light. So that includes LED strips underneath all of the uppers, whether it be above the range or any additional cabinets, as well as underneath the island in the seating area. This means that after you've prepared your meal and you want to actually sit at your island and enjoy your meal, you don't have to have these bright lights that you use for tasks. You can have all these low-level lights throughout the space on to make it feel intimate and actually inviting. One of the biggest questions I get asked as an interior designer is what light fixture should you use for your space? And I get it, it can be extremely daunting because there are so many options out there. Today I'm going to do a renter-friendly hack of switching out a light fixture, and I'm going to tell you all about the light fixtures that you'd look for your island or dining setting. I recently got the I Know pendant lamp from Article, and this is what I look for in specific lighting above islands. You want to focus the lighting to be down on the surface. I made the mistake of having this really nice globe light fixture before. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in the space because it gives a really bright glare for ambient light and actually doesn't give enough task light on a surface itself. I'm going to be honest with you, I bought the original light fixture purely out of vanity because I like the shape of it, but it does not work in my space. If you have any lighting over a specific task area, you want the direction of light to be down. And that's what's great about the Eno light, is that it focuses all the light down, and the inner components of the light itself are white inside, so it actually amplifies the amount of light on the surface itself without having that bright glare that you would see everywhere. For my space, I got it in a matte black, but it actually comes in an oxblood, which I think would be so great to use in a space if you have a really deep earth tone. So the Fila pendant as well as the Gemma pendant are really great from Article because they give you that versatility in an actual shape for the light fixture. I always say light fixture should be something that you should really pay attention to in a space because they're really that additional jewelry item to bring in a really great detail. A great detail about these Article lights is that there's so many different color options and the shade sizes. Shade sizes play a huge factor when it comes to the design of your space because it allows you to have a really unique shape and detail that adds something in that allows visual interest that you wouldn't get otherwise. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually installing a light fixture. This is a really great hack for anyone because you don't need an electrician to do it as long as you have the right tools, and this can be done in any renter space as well. The first thing you're going to do is cut off the power to your breaker box. This is going to make sure that you do not electrocute yourself. I am not going to be liable if you do this yourself, so I'm telling you in the disclaimer to turn your power off. Once the power is off, you can remove the existing light with the right tools. Once you've actually removed the light, there's going to be two prongs, very specific colors that are going to match up with the actual junction box in the ceiling or on the wall. You're going to match the colored wires together and use one of the knobs to tighten on the actual connection point. Once the fixture is then installed in place, you can turn the power back on, and it is easy as that. You don't need an electrician to do this. If you click the link in the description box below, you can get $50 off a $100 purchase or more. And now I'm going to take you to the bedroom where all the magic happens. And I can't actually say that because that's not my place, so I don't know what kind of magic happens. This is pretty much the extent of the bedroom. And as you know, if you live in any major metropolis or an apartment or condo, a one bedroom or smaller is super limited on space. In the original design of this layout, there was absolutely no storage, which once again is one of my biggest pet peeves, especially if you're living in a space. People have clothes, they have personal belongings. All of these developers are designing condos and apartments for people that literally own all. These condo developers are literally designing spaces for people like Jack Reacher that own absolutely nothing and one t-shirt. People have shoes, they have more than one outfit, they have personal belongings. You need to incorporate additional storage into any build itself. So the big consideration that we had was actually building this entire wardrobe out of this wall itself. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come for me and say, why didn't you center the bed and actually have a wardrobe on each side? That actually limited us to the amount of storage that we would get. And if you're living by yourself, you're okay with having a bed in the corner. The other opportunity we took in this overall design is to build in a headboard that felt cohesive with the wardrobe itself. Now, I am not a personal fan of headboards. I find that they make the bed and all the decor look like it's floating in the space. We still wanted to make it feel grounded, but we took the opportunity to actually have a built-in LED strip within the headboard itself. So this great feature at night means that you don't have to have all these bright lights on to actually see what you're doing in the space. You can have a nice intimate low-level light from behind or an additional task light that if you're in bed reading, you have that perfect opportunity without impeding on the actual space that you need to access the wardrobe. Incorporating this headboard into the design with the wardrobe itself gave us that seamless, minimal design. This means that we didn't have to have a single headboard that you put in to make it feel like the bed is actually floating in the corner of the space. I wanted this wardrobe to feel like it was part of the space while not feeling like that's the first thing that you see. So when you walk in and actually through the kitchen, I incorporated this really beautiful curve detail that carries through on the design. This really allows you to have a much softer approach to that corner access point and also limits that choke point you have when you actually walk around the wardrobe into the kitchen itself. This is a much softer approach that you would typically get from one of those 90-degree angles that you feel like you have to walk and turn to. This allows that really beautiful ease of access that is great in a bedroom to reduce the amount of stress that you have when it comes to spatial planning. So I love a good color drenched room. And what color drenching is literally taking that paint color and you envelop and cocoon the entire room. I'm talking about the ceiling, I'm talking about the trim, I'm talking about the baseboards. I want you to take that paint everywhere instead of just the walls. This allows a really unique detail in the space to feel like it's super cozy. When I originally proposed this color to the client, they were very much against it. But the one great consideration that they had is they wanted to step outside their comfort zone. That's why they hired me. They knew I would push them to try something new, and this was the greatest opportunity. This is what happens when you build a trust between the client and the designer. They allowed me to take full control on this to show them how a space can really be developed to make it beautiful to not only their own characteristics, but also have something that's unique that they would never consider. Because this condo is very small, the reason why we did a color drench from the hallway into the bedroom is to feel like you're in a separate zone from the kitchen itself. In the original design, the entire hallway was open. So what we did is we added a frame above that passageway to allow that separation from the kitchen into the bedroom. I wanted you to feel like you came into this space and it was separate from the kitchen and the rest of the living spaces. That's what you really need when it comes to spatial planning in a small space. This allows you to disconnect from that work and live space into your nighttime routine. It's 2025 and I'm gonna be cocky for a moment because I honestly am very proud of myself. This is actually one of my art pieces that I had recreated and we brought it in to style this space. And honestly, when I first put it up, I was speechless. The color works so well because it creates that really nice, cool gradient effect, but it also brings a lot of the warm tones because it reflects the flooring detail in the actual stainless steel finish. And I have always been obsessed with water and movement. I bring it into every single one of my designs, whether it be in the actual design of the millwork, the artwork, or the movement when it comes to the countertops throughout the space. So this is me shamelessly promoting my own work because I'm very proud of myself for doing this. I guess this entire video is me gloating about it, but honestly, I worked really hard and I'm very proud of myself and I want to thank you all for allowing me to do what I did. And on that note, I want to show you this bathroom design. Outside of kitchens, bathrooms are my other favorite space to design. I want a bathroom to feel like it's an experience outside the utility. And that's when lighting plays a huge factor as well as the finishes that you bring in. So the one consideration I always add in any bathroom is having every single light on a dimmer. I want a bathroom to feel sexy. I want you to go into a shower and be like, I feel hot right now. Not literally, but you know, you get the point. Even if you have it on super hot water, you know what I'm talking about. Most people wouldn't consider how you feel in a bathroom. I like to bring that consideration into how it actually looks, but how you operate in the space. When you first walk in, I want it to feel sophisticated. I want it to feel sexy. When you come in, I want you to have 3 sources of light. One, I want your task and ambient light that you're going to need for your front-facing look when you look in a mirror, for makeup application, skincare, and honestly, just good lighting. As a gay man, lighting is always to be on point. You also need your additional pot lights. This is standard for any bathroom, so if you're cleaning, you can actually see every surface. The other light I like to bring in, especially in shower designs, is a strip light around the back perimeter. That way, if all the lights are off, if you're having a shower early in the morning or late at night and you don't want all of those bright lights on, you can make it feel really sexy. You can have that dim light in here. When you come in, you feel awesome, okay? And if you have not had a shower in dim lighting, honestly, you're missing out because it is like chef's kiss. So like any bathroom design, the key features I always like to include are 1, the rain head that actually extends from the wall itself, so you don't feel like you're right butt up against it. You can actually have a full range of motion without it feeling super claustrophobic. I will always recommend going with a larger format towel. So 1, it's much easier to clean and it gives you that really mausoleum look that feels like it's almost like a slab without having to purchase a slab for the install. In my last project, a lot of people gave me hate for using gray. Now there are so many considerations when it comes to using gray in a space. If you're using that flat, non-dimensional builder grade gray, it looks like absolute shit. In this space, we actually use a 30 by 30 tile with a lot of dimension to it. So it gives you that really unique stone-like appearance that looks sophisticated and classy without it being super dated. We were really limited on budget for the overall design for this space, but I still wanted to make it feel really impactful. So even though these are both prefabricated pieces, the color and the finish I made sure works really well with the actual tile that we chose. So even though we have a different color of gray, we still have a beautiful sense of movement in the tiles that connects to the rest of the finishes. If you have a small space, you always want to have your eyes directed up. So having that wood grain go up instead of side to side allows your eyes to kind of have a visual standpoint in a room to carry all the way up to make it feel like it's bigger than it is. So the perfect example of that is if you're wearing stripes that are horizontal on your shirt. They are going to cut you off and make you actually look shorter and frumpier. The same consideration when it comes to your space. Any visual standpoint, you want that vertical stack or movement going up to feel like it's taller and more expansive. That's it. It's very short and very sweet. There were also so many comments on the previous project of people saying that I only work on multi-million-dollar homes. I work on a range and a scale of different projects. As you can see, this is a super small 1-bedroom. I've worked on projects with $100,000 budget, and I've worked on projects that have multi-million dollars for the actual budget. It is all about the consideration and actually bringing the design in. One of my favorite quotes is that poverty breeds creativity. And the greatest thing about that is it means that if you are on a tight budget, you have to be really creative with how you design a space, from the spatial planning, from the finishes to the fixtures. This means that everything that you bring into a space needs to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb. This allows you to really breed creativity for a lot of these designs and the spaces to work with a budget while still making it super aesthetic and functional at the same time. I also want to give David from Luco Design a huge shout out. He has been my contractor for a few projects now, and he has the exact same attention to detail as I do to make sure everything is exactly how we want it in terms of the design. And he always lets me know if there's any considerations we need to take on the construction side of things that still allows it to function properly. And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for following along. It really is super special to share all of these incredible projects that I get to work on around the world with you specifically. YouTube has been an eye-opening experience for me because I still feel really weird on camera, but it also is really great to share these projects because I know a lot of people don't get to see behind the scenes of how a space is put together, how it's designed, what considerations are put in. You literally see the beginning and the end, and that's literally all you get. I want to take you behind the scenes to understand how and why these design features were put in and everything that we did to make it look great. And so you know that I'm not talking out of my ass and I actually practice what I preach. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok because we're gonna do a room by room breakdown of all the specific details on short form content that you're not gonna wanna miss. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe because I know you're watching, so you better actually be subscribed to this channel because there's no one else like me on the internet, and that's why you're here anyways. And if you're ever second guessing yourself, just ask, what would Design Daddy do? Boom.